I'd like to introduce Nico Marcolongo, Major, United States Marine Corps, 2 tours in Iraq, and does challenged athletes and the Buddy Bowl, and just a great all-around person who is working for the greater good. Thank you.
I might use this. I don't know. Do I need to? Yeah, I'll use it. What the heck? It's a pleasure being back here, 41 area. I was the intel officer for First Force Recon from 98 to 02. So I got the cool hat, the cool... I don't know if you have these hats anymore. These were... No, you don't have them, do you? Okay, so I feel special. This is Tally. She's kind of my partner in crime. Tally, let's say hi to the audience. Tally is trained to work with wheelchair users and amputees. I work at the Challenge Athletes Foundation, and I run a program called Operation Rebound. And it's specifically designed for injured troops and first responders to empower them through sports. What happens is often Tally and I will go to a hospital and we'll meet a young soldier, sailor, airman, Marine who's come off the battlefield missing their limbs. And all you Marines understand how important physical fitness is and how much being in shape really kind of defines who you are, who we are as Marines. So you can imagine, maybe some of you have experienced this, maybe some of you know, some of your buddies have experienced this. You're out on a battlefield, you're leading Marines, soldiers, sailors, airmen, and in a millisecond, you find yourself missing limbs with a spinal cord injury, a severe traumatic brain injury, loss of sight. You're taken away from that unit, and you're put in a hospital setting, and the question is, what's next? And my answer is, you're going to do everything you used to do and things you never dreamed of doing. And that is the case. The biggest thing, the biggest obstacle to overcome is self-doubt. And so when I came back from Iraq my second time, I came back quite different than I had left. I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. I didn't know what the heck that was. I was a major United States Marine Corps. I'd been in Force Recon, I had a scuba bubble, I had some jump wings. I thought it was cool. You know, I thought it was the toughest thing in the world. I was an infantry officer, then they augmented me as an intel officer, so I just considered myself a grunt on light duty. And then coming home, I had the worst physical pain I ever felt in my life, but I couldn't see it. It was on the inside. And I felt no love for my family. I wanted to cocoon myself away. I didn't want to look at my uniforms. I couldn't handle hearing helicopters fly by. Every time there was a loud noise, I'd jump. And I was like, what is wrong with me? What did I do to cause this? Because I can't see this wound. Well, fortunately, I ran into my good buddy, Bill Ryder, who mentored me through that process, who let me know it was an injury as a result of my service. It wasn't a flaw in my character. Who let me know that you will become stronger because of this. You'll be able to help others because of this, if you choose to do so. And so at that point, it was my choice. Did I draw back and hide and take my disability rating and stay quiet and just let people know, yeah, I served and that was it? Or do I take a step forward as a Marine leader and say, this was my experience, this is what I went through, we can do this together, we can help you. So that's what I did. And the first big step I took was on a kid's show called Sesame Street. Everybody remember Sesame Street? So in April of 2009, I told Elmo what I'd been through. And I was trying to relate it to kids because I knew we'd have a child audience out there. So I said, you know, Elmo, when I came home, I lost my smile. Because I knew that other military kids who were watching that could relate to that if their mother or father was going through the same thing. And something very telling, something that, you know, kids really pick up on things. I remember when I first came home and met a psychiatrist, I was like, gosh, I got to see a psychiatrist? What's going on here? And my wife and I talked to the psychiatrist who were very worried about my son, because he was only 3.5 years old, and how it would affect him. And, you know, the psychiatrist kind of poo-pooed it. No, don't worry about it. He'll be okay. But there was a point where I was walking on the beach ahead of my family, and my son turned to my wife and said, "Mommy, Daddy's still in Iraq." And he knew I was right there. But he knew that psychologically, emotionally, I was still in Iraq. I knew at that point that I had to get help to get better. My body was not telling me to go get better. My body was telling me to withdraw, to mask, to try and get rid of the pain with anything. My mind was telling me the right thing to do is to go forth and get help. And thank God I did that. Because now I tell troops, just as if it's a gunshot wound, you don't hide it from the corpsman and hope that it's going to get better, because hope is not a course of action. What you do is you go to BAS and you get that sucker fixed right away, and you may have a scar, and it may last for a long time. But you're going to be a lot better off as opposed to letting that imprint on you over the course of many years. So you do what you can to mitigate the adverse consequences of the injury so you can carry on and help others. And so is it a struggle? It's still a struggle. I came home 8 years ago. It's still a struggle. But I'll tell you what, thank God it's still a struggle, because I'm still struggling. I'm not giving in. And we're helping others. Hundreds of thousands, I know. Just through media, through helping one, they help somebody else. What ACVAL is doing, what the General's doing, these are my mentors. They've helped me. Now it's my turn to give back. So the courage here is standing up when you're vulnerable and asking for help, because it's going to keep your combat effective. It's going to keep you going in the right direction. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today, and I'm open for questions.
Tell us about challenged athletes.
So the Challenge Athletes Foundation was established 20 years ago. It's actually started to help one person, Jim McLaren. Jim McLaren was an aspiring actor. He played football at Yale University, real big guy. He was riding his motorcycle in 1985. Yale University graduate, got hit by a bus, pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital, came out of a coma, and 3 days later, discovered he was a below-knee amputee. Well, he didn't let that stop him. He became the fastest man in the world on one leg. And then in 1993, he was doing a triathlon in Orange County, and he was hit by a van, and it paralyzed him. He was a quadriplegic. So at that time, 3 of his buddies got together and said, you know what, we want Jim to have some mobility. Let's raise money to get him an adaptive van. So they held what became the first annual San Diego Triathlon Challenge, which now takes place every October in La Jolla. And they raised $49,000 and got him a van. And there were other people coming to them saying, there are a lot more people out here who need this kind of help. So they ultimately established the Challenge Athletes Foundation. Now we help people all over the world, of all ages. And then my program was established, as Bill was saying and Tom was saying, about the Buddy Bowl I run, the charity flag football tournament I do at Thanksgiving weekend here, which I want to see all you Marines get a team together this year. And we raise money to support injured troops, first responders, and their families. And one of the charities is the Operation Rebound program at CAF.
Yeah, I'm the question hog here, so I'm going to ask another one. Did being a Marine make you more courageous or the same when you came in?
Much more courageous. And I say that, and there's an Army guy, a good buddy of mine, Todd Fawn, one of our athletes over here. He's courageous too, but he's in the Army. Don't hold that against me. Good to go. You know, I tell you what, in Marines, you understand this. You go into the Marine Corps, you go to boot camp, you go to OCS, you come out changed. You're not the same anymore. You go back to your hometown, there's a difference. You're walking a little taller, you have more resolve, you have more resilience, you know you can do anything. And I'll tell you what, because I was in the Marine Corps, I went through what I did, but because I was in the Marine Corps, I was able to get through what happened. So absolutely, the best decision I ever made in my life.
Next up is a mighty oak.